All right, welcome to another episode of Real Estate Junkies podcast. Today, we are excited to have a special guest with us, an industry leader who is transforming the way we think about listing homes. Grant Clayton, our guest, is the founder of one of the fastest growing national real estate franchises with over 57 offices. He will share his journey on how, the insights on why listing houses faster is crucial and the easier, more efficient ways to get it done. Thank you, Grant, for joining us. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's get right into it. Can you tell us about your journey into real estate industry altogether? What got you interested in the industry and eventually led you to start your own business?
Sure. Our family business was in commercial real estate development. So I was around real estate at a pretty high level going through college, just from being around my dad. And then I came out. I was in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina, and so that kind of derailed my plans for a little while. And I started coaching basketball and substitute teaching, and I really love that. I love teaching and helping and working with kids and things like that. That was always awesome. And wound up getting married. And after I got married, we decided to move, and I bought a home but never sold it. And um, basically, the experience I had selling my house was incredibly similar to the complaints and the lawsuits. The agent that we interviewed said, no, because I asked my neighbor's house, they told me that they were paying their agent 5%, and I had no idea how any of it worked. I'd never sold a house. And she said, well, I'm 6%. And if you pay less than 6%, nobody will show your house, and I won't do the marketing to sell it. That's literally verbatim what she told me.
Wow.
And so we had an awful experience. She wound up being a dual agent because I convinced her to show the property to somebody because she didn't think they would like it. And so we got through that transaction, and she got both sides of a 6% deal. And I felt like it only happened because of me. And so we eventually got into real estate thinking, we could do better. And um, I don't know, the industry it's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of figured, if you treat people great, and if your customer service is better, and you kind of give them a better feeling about it, that you'll do great. But we realized that pretty much everybody's professing to do that,
Yeah.
and the industry was slowly but surely training us to be what we did not like about that agent that sold our house. So we just decided to do something different.
Wow, that's amazing. And so how long ago was that that you got in, and what was that experience like first getting in? What are some of the key steps you feel like that led you to your success?
So, well, we got in 2011. The first listing we took was a relocation deal, and we wound up charging 7% on a relocation deal. And
Wow.
so this is a pretty nice house. And as soon as I found out the relocation company was paying the commissions, I was like, well, heck, let's charge 7%. So we charged 7. And after the relocation company took 40%, and then my brokerage took, I think, 50 because it was a relocation deal, I walked away with 1% of the 3.5. And I was like, this is weird. But there were so many conflicts. Like I saw all these agents at the office that they were always like, man, I want these reload deals. I want these reload deals. And I kept hearing that, but then I kept hearing, keep that commission up. Don't devalue yourself. Know your worth, keep that commission high. But I was like, all right, well, I put a 7%er on the board, and I'm only walking away with 1% of that. How is that propping up commissions, which we're not supposed to be doing anyways, even though I was, being encouraged to do it. Now, my
Yeah.
broker never trained me that, but my peers, I definitely felt the pressure from my peers around me to do that. So it was like, why are we worried about what we're charging on the front end? We should worry about what we're making on the back end.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that even at 3.5%, I was walking away with 1. And people want those deals. And so I left that deal thinking to myself, if I'm willing to charge less, then I want to take home more of what I'm
Mm.
charging. So we pivoted. We started talking to home builders. And I was like, look, we'll give you a better deal to sell your houses. let us list your spec houses, let us help you market, not just your spec houses, but also you as a builder. And we started charging 1.5% to home builders, which was very taboo in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
But we went from failing out of the industry to like listing agents of the month and doing awesome. But basically we didn't feel welcome at our brokerage anymore once that happened. So we
So
switched
what, did
brokerage.
you negotiate a better deal being able to run business like that, or
What do you mean?
meaning, well, you were paying 50% before that, right? Like, were you still paying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the splits back then were not the best,
That's right.
which I mean, I would kind of love to talk more about because really what's happened with technology,
Mm.
it's made it to where we can all be more efficient.
Yeah.
And most brokerages have leveraged that technology to run a more efficient brokerage and give more money to the agent. And we're using the same technology to run a more efficient brokerage and let the client keep more equity.
Mm.
I had an interesting conversation with a broker from Epic,
Yeah.
and I'm not hating on Epic. I mean, I
Yeah.
think all these new brokerages that are coming out that are leveraging all this efficiencies and technology to offer a better value proposition to the agents. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Bro, you're a discount broker," and I'm like, "Bro, you are too." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I've seen your recruiting pages. I get the emails. You're going to give me all this free stuff plus amazing splits. We're selling value. We're
Yeah.
selling the same exact value. The only difference is you're selling it to the agent, and I'm
I'm selling
selling
it
it
to the
to the person
consumer.
who needs to
Yeah.
sell a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the same exact business model with a
Mm.
different target audience, but they can't let themselves see that, I don't think.
Yeah. So why should agents and brokers pay attention to the 1% commission model, and what advantages does it really bring to agents and clients alike?
Sure. So I've heard the analogy forever. I would never hire a discount doctor.
Hmm.
I would never hire a discount whatever. So I guess let me answer your question with a question. Um, the average agent did 2 deals last year. All right. So let's translate that to I would never hire a discount doctor. Let's say the discount doctor had repaired 75 ACLs or done 75 knee replacements the year before. You want that doctor or do you want the one that did 2?
The one that did 75, but also
Why?
service also matters. Like, how, if they're handling that level of
Sure.
quantity, what type of service are they providing? Yeah.
But what type of experience do they have? They've probably, if
They
you're
they have more
replacing
experience for sure, but delivery on the service also matters. Yeah.
100%, and I think that also has to be there.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about agents, doing a great job, then part of doing a great job is knowing your market.
Yeah.
And when you list one house a year, it's very hard to know your market. The
True.
average agent probably did one listing and one buyer last year because the average agent only did 2 deals.
Mm.
And so if I ask an agent, hey, how's the real estate market? They might tell me something, but if they're the average agent, their honest response should be, honestly, I don't know because I haven't done a deal since 2023 or 2022. So I think there's a fine line there. Our philosophy has always been cheaper and cheaper is not disruptive, but cheaper and as good or better is very disruptive. And so when you hire a 1% list agent, yeah, you're hiring a busy agent probably. You're hiring somebody who does a lot of deals. Like, it's not uncommon for our agents to list 5 houses a week. It's not
Mm.
uncommon for our agents to do, 70, 80 deals a year without buying any leads.
Mhm.
But you can bet that they know how to navigate a deal. They know the market. They know how to navigate a contract. They know all these things because they can do them in their sleep because they do them so much. And
Mm.
at the end of the day, I would prefer that. I think there's also an argument that can be made that in a market like we're in, where it's difficult to sell a house, like, all right, I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you answer this question, but if it was me,
No, I would. I would. What is it?
okay, all right, so let's say you got a house and it's a tough house to sell. Okay, like it's taken a while to sell this house. You've really done a lot, and your listing expires with your current agent, and you got 2 options. You got this other agent that you interviewed, and they're going to charge you, the typical 6% high rate, And then you've got, but they're going to do open houses, they're going to do broker tours, they're going to do print media. Or you could hire us. And with the money that you save on your listing agent, you could offer a 2-for-1 interest rate reduction. So you could reduce the buyer's interest rate for the first 2 years. You could offer to pay all their closing costs. You could offer, I don't know, you could offer a $5,000 agent bonus. You could offer all these things. What do you think is more? You could just price your house better. What do you think is more likely to move the house? Is it another open house and broker tour and another magazine spread, or do you think it's using savings as a tool to make the house more appealing?
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that that gives seller more leverage. Yes, I think there is value in professional photography and videography and
We
putting
do
the,
that. We do professional photos on every home.
preparing the listings and staging the home properly and strategizing the marketing and have a strategic plan for marketing and actually executing on that plan, leveraging time, resources, and money, right? But I think real incentive, a good offer is a good offer, right?
Yeah.
Better offer than your traditional offers, which is traditional listing agreements, would attract more buyers, because if the house is truly challenged based on location, based on condition, incentives is what would make buyers fall off the cliff, right? So I guess, like, how does this model really work? Like, tell us, how does the 1% commission model work, and how would that challenge the traditional commission structure in the industry, and what are the reactions you have encountered so far?
The reactions are interesting and they vary market to market. I would say this. The true, like, so many agents will say, I know my worth, I know my value, all those things. It's been my experience that the people who are quick to point that out are the ones that are threatened by us. Now, there's certain agents, like in my home office market, there's a handful of agents that I could name. They don't feel threatened by me. Their agents are going to pay them 6%, maybe more.
Their clients, their sellers.
And they know what they're getting. And they're getting that white glove service on everything. Now, does it make the house sell faster? Does it make the house sell for more? I can show you statistically where I believe the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because we generally sell houses faster than everyone and for a higher price compared to list than everyone. But the reason is because it's easier to market, it's easier to negotiate, it's easier for you to price accurately when you don't have a massive commission around your neck, like weighing you down.
Yeah.
But there's people in our market that are not threatened by us at all, like in our home office market where we started. The ones that feel threatened are the ones that I don't believe had that Mercedes-Benz, Louis Vuitton feel to them, but they're charging as if they do. So, like, I use this analogy a lot. I'm like, look, every agent thinks they're a Mercedes-Benz. But if everybody's a Mercedes-Benz, then a Mercedes-Benz is not a Mercedes-Benz anymore.
Yeah, it's more like a Toyota.
Yeah. Right? And so in reality, how I feel is, maybe 1 or 2% of agents are a real Mercedes-Benz. The rest of them are like, they're Hondas and Toyotas, and they're driving their car to the Mercedes-Benz lot and they're parking on the lot and saying, look, I'm a Mercedes-Benz, but they're not. They don't have the track record. They don't have the experience. They've never navigated huge deals. They're not. And so at the end of the day, I think that when I drive around town, I see a lot of Toyotas and I see a lot of Hondas. Their value proposition is just different. Like, look, we're reliable as hell and we're affordable.
Yep.
And, that's us. We're not the cheapest car. We're not a Yugo. We're not like an old gremlin that's full of rust and falling apart on the highway. We will absolutely get the job done. But I tell clients whenever we meet with them, like, look, you're not hiring your best friend right now. I'm not going to call you every day and tell you that, the sky is blue and the birds are chirping. I'm just going to do my damn job.
Yeah. And
I'm going to do it affordably. I'm going to do it professionally. I'm damn good at what I do. But you're not hiring your best friend. But I think a lot of people warm up to that because, if you look at real estate coaching, they're teaching agents like how to be best friends with everybody. And at some point, it just gets old and stale. They want somebody who's just like, all right, so you're affordable and you're good at what you do and you got a huge track record of success. All right, good, done. Yeah. I don't need you calling me every day telling me you got nothing to tell me. Like, just do your damn job. Just like my dentist, just like my lawyer, just like my CPA. Yeah. They don't call me every day. They don't send me freaking birthday cards nonstop and make me feel guilty if I don't hire them. Just do your damn job. Be a professional.
That's amazing, and I'm gonna have to apologize to my car later today because I do have a Toyota. But like,
I love it. There's nothing wrong with it.
how
But
do
you would look at that Toyota differently if, what do you drive? A Toyota what?
it's a hybrid. It's a Highlander. Yep.
Okay. What if that Toyota Highlander was priced the same as a Mercedes GLS?
I'll still buy the Toyota because of the
So
mileage.
you would pay 95 grand for your
Yeah,
Toyota?
I actually the reason why I got that car is because of the gas mileage. Like I didn't care for luxury. Like that
Yeah, but for the people
Mercedes
that pay that
GLS,
price, you know what they do?
you
They
know
get
what
the
I mean?
Lexus.
The Mercedes GLS is actually a liability to me. It's
Yeah,
not
but
the luxury that I care about. I care about the, efficiency.
okay. So if you were gonna get that car, would you go for the Lexus at the elevated price, or would you get the Toyota?
Um,
Because the Lexus is a Toyota, but it's with nicer materials and nicer everything. You'd
True.
probably
Yeah,
go.
if it's a hybrid, maybe yeah, maybe
Yeah,
the Lexus.
they
Yeah,
make the same car.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Uh,
get your point though.
no, it makes sense. But how do okay? So let's just 1% model, right?
Hmm.
How does that impact client relationships? I guess like how do you run your different how do you run your business or run your service differently in that model than your full service model, right? Full service model is probably not a thing. It
Yeah,
should always be full service. It shouldn't be half service, right?
right.
So I guess like how do you draw that balance in profitability and the quantity of business you would get going 1% model with
Um,
client relationship?
well, first of all, we are full service. We are
Yeah.
not a limited service brokerage, and that's why there's a lot of companies out there where you can like, hey, put me on the MLS for 300 bucks, and but you're on your own. That's not us. That's never been us. It's not our thing. Um, that said, effectively, if you were a client, one of the first things I would do is I would go to your house. I would do a market analysis based off of what I see in your home, based off of recent sales, just like any other agent would. We typically pay for professional photography on almost every single home we list. We pay for professional photography. You go in the MLS, we do social media marketing, we do all those things. But at the end of the day, what we're not doing is open houses, print media, and broker tours. And the reason well, NAR did a study on this called Real Estate in the Digital Age. What it showed was like closer to 0% than anything else. People say they relied on open houses and broker tours to see homes. If I were to tell you what's the most expensive forms of marketing, it's open houses and broker tours. What's the most labor intensive? It's open houses and broker tours. If I were to tell you, bro, you have to move today. I don't know if you're married or whatever. You're not going to look at your spouse and say, oh my God, honey, go get a magazine. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay. If those things worked, if open houses and broker tours were so important, then sales would have came to a halt during COVID because we
Yeah.
weren't allowed to do them. But somehow during COVID, nobody's allowed to do an open house and broker tour, and yet we sold houses faster than ever. And now we can do them again, but somehow they don't work. If I really wanted to drive this point home, and I've done it before, I'll bring a real estate magazine to a listing appointment, and I'll open it up and I'll show them a big, huge picture of a realtor and a big, huge picture of their cell phone number. And I'll show you little bitty pictures of houses with even smaller print. And I'll ask them, are you being marketed a real estate agent or a home? And they're like, oh my God, I'm being marketed a realtor. Why have I been paying for this? And so at the end of the day, all we do is we look at market trends. And market trends show that 30 years ago, somebody decided to move, they call Sally the realtor.
Hmm.
Now they go on Zillow and they get a very poor valuation of their home and they start shopping for homes. That's what people do. It's a different mindset, but we're still handling a transaction from beginning to end. But the point is if you take out all the junk that doesn't work,
Hmm.
and all the junk that, let's be honest, is probably there to market the realtor, not the home.
Yeah.
If you get rid of all that stuff, doing a full service job listing a house is about 8 hours of work, sometimes less. And so I guess my question to you would be this. If I told you right now you could charge 1% to list a house, and you didn't have to do broker tours, open houses, and all that stuff, didn't have to do magazines, you charge 1% to list a $400,000 house, and it's going to take 8 hours of your time, Would you rather do that, or would you rather represent a $400,000 buyer that you're going to spend 30 or 40 hours with, who might never buy a home? Because I tell you, if you do the math, you're making twice as much money per hour listing
Yeah.
the house at 1% than working with the buyer at the higher fee.
Yeah. No,
And
I
so,
think it depends on the agent, their experience. I actually done one open house in 12 years, selling over 1,000 homes, 300 listings, over 300 listings. One single open house because supposedly the agent was talking to another agent. Seller was talking to another agent, and the agent convinced them he has a mega open house framework that sells every single of his listings overpriced, right? Like
sure.
whatever.
He has a mega
Okay,
open house
fine.
where
I'll
they
do an
meet
open
all the
house,
neighbors.
and thankfully, the house sold. Okay, but
Mhm.
if you were to ask me, like, which one would you rather do? I would rather charge 7% and still not do open houses. You know what I mean? Because that's
No,
what
I
I've
hear
been
you.
doing. You
I
know?
hear you. But I guess the difference is, what can you do when you deal with high volume?
Mm, yeah.
What does volume bring you?
Mm,
I've had this conversation with agents a lot, and they're like, "Well, you're Walmart. You're the Walmart of the real estate industry." I'm like, "No, I think we're Costco." And I'm like, "What are you?" And they're like, "Well, I'm Saks Fifth Avenue." Well, Saks Fifth Avenue has been around for 150 years and is worth about $6 billion. And Costco's been around for about 40 years and they're worth about $400 billion. Okay. And I'm like, why are you so against this? Like,
yeah.
if one of the great entrepreneurs of our time decided to
Mm,
get into real estate, are they going to be like, guess what, guys? We're going to open a brokerage and we're going to charge 6% to sell houses? I don't think so.
mm,
They're going to do something different.
mm.
Um, there's a reason, and I call this the uneducating of realtors. When I talk to them, I'm like, this is how I reset your brain. Like, have you ever seen somebody offering like an air conditioner checkup for $99? Do you think they make money on that? No.
No. Yeah.
And I've asked agents, so why do they do them? I've asked agents, I was like, have you ever gone to Costco and bought a rotisserie chicken for like $5? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, how much money do you think they make on those? Oh, they make billions. I'm like, no, they lose like 40 to 50 million a year selling rotisserie chickens. Why do they do that? Why? Why does anybody do that? Well, the
Yeah.
answer is it brings foot traffic.
Mhm.
So my whole thing is this. I then ask the agent, put away your morals and what you feel like you owe the industry. If I told you right now I could give you 3 listings at 1% or 1 listing at 3%, all the same price homes, which one is better for you? And they all say, almost every single one says, well, 3 listings at 1%. And I ask why. And they say, well, I'll generate buyers and I'll
Yeah.
generate more listings. And so at the end of the day, like, people ask the question, why do realtors fail out of the business? The
Mm,
reason why, I think, is because we sign up to be realtors. We don't sign up to be telemarketers. We do
mm.
not sign up to buy leads that are dead
Yeah.
ends. We
Yeah.
do not sign up for the crap. We sign up to actually do the job.
Mm,
And so for our agents, some of whom list 3, 4, 5 houses a week, and those listings turn into dual agency deals. They turn into more listings. They turn into buyers. They
yeah.
turn into tons of doors open for total strangers.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
awesome.
They are happier charging a little bit less. So my average agent's making like 1.7 a deal.
Mm,
Okay. Because all the listings generate buyers and other things. And so, but they're happier making that lower amount and being busy doing their job rather than, going on Facebook and saying, I spent $20,000 on Zillow and I haven't gotten anything. What do I do? Well, the answer is you stop paying $1 billion company to give you leads and
mm.
you start charging less to generate your own leads. That's
Yeah.
the solution.
So your average agent out there is probably out there telling sellers that, not from me, right? I never use that term, but it takes me 1% commission to market your home and sell your home, right? So in that point of view, how is 1% even making that many money?
Well, what is it? What do you think it cost us to list a house?
What's the cost of listing a house? I don't know. It could depend on the market and what's being done, right?
About 200 bucks, 300 bucks. And the
How'd you come
reason,
up with that number? Like,
well, what is the cost of professional photography?
could be $500 up
It
to
could be.
500.
I
Yeah.
mean, look, if you're talking about like a $2 million home in Orange County, California, or a $10
Yeah.
million home, obviously that's going to be way more. But in, the normal areas of the country where the average sales price is $420,000, they're not paying $1,000 for photos.
Mm-hmm.
But even at $300 for photos, you're reusing your sign, you're reusing your lockbox.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing the math really quick,
Yeah.
on a 400,000, let's say it's a $430,000 house, just to have a nice round number. 1% of that is $4,300. If
Yeah.
you spend $300 on photos,
Mm.
that means you've got $4,000 because you can reuse your sign, you can reuse your
Mm.
lockbox. On about 8 hours of work, that's
Mm.
$500 an hour. Do you want
Okay.
to pause the podcast while we can Google who makes $500 an hour? Because I can tell you some professional athletes make $500 an hour. I don't know anyone with a month-long degree, which is what
Yeah.
real estate is in some markets, way less, that make $500 an hour. I know some very specialized high-end surgeons, some
Mm.
make $500 an
Yeah.
hour. Some very specialized attorneys make $500 an hour. I know it was ironic to me because, like,
That's a great analogy.
one of the most well-known real estate attorneys for RESPA is actually from my market. His name is Mark Sturbko. Really brilliant guy. I think he is like the leading RESPA attorney in the country, so far as I know. And he didn't charge me $500 an hour. So ironically, I make more per hour listing a $400,000 home than the number one RESPA attorney in the country charged me. Kind of
So
crazy when you think about it.
no, it is, and it's like that's a great analogy, by the way, to clarifying. Like, okay, why 1% makes sense for agents that might be moving or considering moving to this model? I guess what are the benefits they can expect in terms of lead generation, income growth, by leveraging model like that?
Not to drive this point home a little bit more,
Yeah.
but I just looked it up, and on Groupon, I can do the pre-licensing course for $150 right now with 20% off. I can ask Mark, hey, how much did you spend to go to college for 12 years? I bet it's more than 150 bucks.
Hundred
Okay.
fifty
So at the
thousand
end of the
dollars.
day,
Up
I'm
one
not
hundred fifty thousand
saying,
dollars.
oh, I guarantee you, he was probably $300,000 in debt coming out of that. And it probably took him longer than a month. And so, look, I'm not saying that real estate agents have no value. I'm not saying we're just, we're garbage men or whatever else. I'm not saying that, we're just stupid laborers. But I'm not out there comparing myself to a brain surgeon, which some agents do. Like, I wouldn't hire a discount brain surgeon. Well, I wouldn't hire a brain surgeon that went through a 2-week long class and spent $200 to become a brain surgeon either, because that's not allowed. It takes longer time in my home state of Louisiana to be licensed to do fingernails than it does to become a real estate agent. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The problem no one is talking about is you are more heavily related to do hair in Louisiana. I'm talking about 1,500 hours, okay, than it is to become a real estate person. The whole reason we have these issues, and I'll add, don't forget your question, I'll answer in a minute. And
Yeah,
I
for sure.
apologize if I'm going off on a bit of a rant here. The
No.
reason we have these lawsuits, if you follow the money, okay, the National Association of Realtors and all these MLS boards, they make money selling seats. Be honest, the more realtors, the more money they make. And so to the public, they can't throw a rock down the street without bouncing it off of 3 realtors.
Yeah.
And so how is it possible for us to say, value yourself, know your worth, when it's so easy to become licensed? And there is a monetary incentive to license as many people as possible. And then at the end of the day, how do we keep people licensed? Well, they only do 2 deals a year, but you got to make a fortune on those 2 deals in order to keep your license. This is where all this comes from. Nobody steps back and just say, okay, follow the money. That's the problem. And at the end of the day, I don't hate any of this. What I feel bad for is the public who continues to be force-fed inexperienced realtors. who just don't know what they're doing. But it's impossible to become experienced. When
Hmm.
there's 2 million of us doing 4 million deals, you divide that math, that's two. How the hell do you get good at your job? You don't even have an opportunity to,
Yeah.
which by the way is why Zillow is rich.
Hmm.
Because when you can't get ahead by any reasonable means, what do? You swipe that credit card and buy some leads. It's all
Yeah.
you feel like you can do. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem that affects the public, but it affects us too. You know. So
Yeah.
it's
And
over.
so the question was, let's just sound convinced. Like, okay, you know what? The market is not where it needs to be. There's way too many underqualified agents that are running themselves as overqualified businesses, right? So, what benefits can someone, an agent running their business in this model? What are the, I guess, uh,
Of the
pros,
benefits,
advantages? Yeah, advantages for in terms of more opportunities, more leads, more growth in their
sure.
business. Yeah.
Our rookie of the year was in a tiny market and did 63 transactions. She had never been in sales before. She left her job at the school board. She was in we call them parishes, not counties, but she had about 200,000 people around her in about a 50-mile radius. And she did 38 listings and 25 buyers in her very first year in real estate for an average commission of probably about 1.8%. My top earner that same year made $440,000 in Destin, Florida, as a brand new agent. He made more money. He didn't do as many deals. He's just selling $1 million condos. Um, at the end of the day, if you want to break it down as simply as possible, the trick to everything is getting more listings. And if you want more listings, get more listings. If you want more buyers, get more listings. If you want a better work-life balance, get more listings. If you want to make more money this year, list more houses. If you want to make more money next year, list more houses this year. Like, I don't care. Whatever the hell you want that's positive in real estate comes from listing homes. And a lot of negatives come from just dealing with buyers. That same year that kid, and I say kid because he was 28 years old at the time, that made like 400 something $1,000 in Destin. I tried to recruit buyers agents from teams. So the people that are not allowed to work with listings, they're only allowed to work with buyers, and they give up half their money to their team leader. I tried to recruit some. I had people making 60 grand a year tell me they know their worth. And I'm like, great, come sit down with me and my guy over here. He made 7 times what you made in his rookie year. Tell him he's devaluing himself. Tell him he should know his worth. Tell him. But they couldn't respond to it,
Mm.
but they could regurgitate what they were told to respond, what they
Yeah.
were told to say.
Mm.
Look, it's my belief that the average agent would be happier if they were busier listing houses and less busy buying leads and looking for leads or working
Hmm.
with buyers. I mean,
Yeah.
I have 2 children. I don't know if you can see them behind me. Like, I like being home in the evenings. I like being home on weekends. I like
Mm.
making it to my daughter's softball games and my son's golf tournaments. I like that. I don't want to have a random person who I barely know tell me, I expect you to be at this house at 2:30 on a Saturday, and I don't care what you're doing. You better be here. I'm going to fire you and hire somebody else. I don't like that. I'd rather control things myself, which means
No,
living.
those are some awesome advantages, of course, but you still have to go out there, market yourself, right? Whatever it is, whether it is 1% or 0%, like you're
Sure.
charging 0%, right? Actually, there is an agent that I help create a marketing campaign, and he did awesome. His mostly prospects on for sale by owners, and he was what we teach in our academy is creating irresistible offers, right?
Mhm.
So he wanted like, okay, what can I offer to for sale by owners where there will be a guaranteed get in the door type of approach, right? And which we help them create 0%, like list your home with me for 0% flat fee, right?
Mhm.
So you that gets you in the door, and you go in and you convert them into full service, right? You don't
You
get
convert them into a higher fee.
yeah,
So you do the
full
bait
service,
and
a
switch
full
thing.
6%. Yeah, no. If they want the 0%, they get the 0%, and it's a flat fee offer. They pay $500 to list their property on the
Right.
MLS, right?
Right.
And if they want a full service, it's a different offer. Like, hey, you
Sure.
didn't ask for that. You asked for the 0%. Here's the 0%, right? So that was the strategy, right? So they still have to learn marketing, even with that 1% list price.
Mhm.
What I guess, like, we
How
talked
do we
about
market it?
is better. What is it?
Like, how do we market it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We talked about better work-life balance, right?
You
you
talking about
get
marketing it to the agents or to the public?
to the public. Yeah.
To the public. So to the public, we are in the convincing the public we exist business.
Mm,
So what I equate it to is right now interest rates are about 7%. Imagine you are the only lender in town that can still do 3% 30-year mortgages. What does your marketing look like?
mm,
It looks like, hey guys, I have a 30-year at 3%.
yeah.
Okay. We get inbound listing requests all day long. I mean, I can't share my screen, or I'd pull up.
Yeah.
The most
Yeah.
recent one was a guy from Sacramento who literally reached out through the website, and I told him, I'm sorry, bro, we don't have anything in Sacramento yet. And he's like, dude, is there anybody else out here doing this? I really want to hire you guys. That's a day in the life.
Yeah.
Um, Most of our clients are more concerned that, you know, we're going to fire them as opposed to they fire us. You
That's
know,
awesome.
it's a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
How I felt when I first became an agent was, okay, I'm in this office with 300 other agents. They've all got more experience than me. They've all got a better sphere than me. Most of them are local. I was not. So how do I get ahead? I'm doing the same thing for the same fee. So how do I get ahead?
Mm,
Whereas with this, it's like, oh, I'm convincing the world I exist. That's what I
yeah.
do. I'm
Yeah.
convincing the world I exist. We generally get, we'll get 2 or 3 listing requests per day from random areas in the country, many of which I've never heard of. The ironic thing is, I think we met through a Facebook group. In those Facebook groups, I am like the devil. Like, people hate my guts. And yet, I got like a $2.4 million listing request in San Capistrano, California, wherever that is. I've never
Yeah.
heard of it, never been there. It's like 4,000 miles from my house. And you should see my phone. My phone literally had steam coming off of it from everybody blowing up my phone,
For that
begging
referral.
me for that lead. And I go in there and I give away listing leads. I'm like, hey guys, I'm not in this market. Who wants it? And you should see my phone explode with all the haters who think I suck, but they
Same
want
people,
that
right?
listing.
Same people. Like, hey, you got that? You got the referral from me.
They look, and it's the same mindset. I think we are the only industry that values ourselves on what we charge, not what we make. Like, I don't know if you're a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. When I see, I don't know, if I see LeBron James signed a new contract, they're not paying him by the shot, they're paying him by the year. Every quarterback is paid by the year. And yet, we real estate agents, we value ourselves based off what we charge. I've had
Yeah.
people that, I mean, I look up their stats. I don't even know how they're paying their bills, but they tell me they know their worth. And they would
Mhm.
never stoop to such a level. And I was like, well, what are you worth? Well, I charge full amount. I'm like, what full amount? There's no set amount. Well, I charge this high fee on every deal I do. And I'm like, all 3 of them? Really? But that's how they gauge themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I think it's we talked about this earlier in the call where brokerages have taught agents to charge more and because so they can charge more, kind of like your situation where you charge your first deal 7% and you ended up paying 40% to the revenue whatever
yeah.
the relocation company and then paid
Well, I'm
50%
making
to your
one.
brokerage. And I think the brokerages are incentivized to teach their agents to charge more so they can charge more, right? There is like a direct correlation in that
Well,
training system there.
in a way, but I mean, I'd push back on that because I mean, those same Facebook groups that I met you in, I mean, practically every day, an agent pops in there and says, I'm moving here. And somebody tell me a brokerage that's going to give me a free website, free CRM, no monthly fees, and I want to keep 100%. Oh, and I'd like a low cap. I'll pay $200 a deal and I'd like a low cap. And I always respond, I'm like, oh, you're looking for a discount brokerage. And they're like, oh, no, I'm not a discounter. I'm like, I know my worth. And I'm like, can you imagine if that broker knew their worth? They would charge you 40% at least because they know their worth. But as real estate agents, we demand people treat us in a way that we won't treat our clients. Like, we
Yeah,
demand a better deal from our
yeah,
broker.
true.
We demand it.
Yeah.
Okay. And new brokerages are inventing. I mean, like KW went to EXP because EXP was more efficient and they're online. And so the splits got better and the
Mm.
incentives got better. And so we who know our worth switched to the place that gave us a better deal. And then the herds are going to continue to move.
Yeah.
to get to the top of the next pyramid or get the better deal, better deal, better deal, better deal. Rather than that, why not just list houses faster?
So I guess like what are some of the challenges or cons agents may face when working with a 1% commission model? Like how do you recommend addressing these?
We get hated by the industry.
That's the con.
And I mean,
That's the
in
challenge.
case you haven't noticed I mean, look at my shirt. It doesn't really bother me. You know,
Mhm.
I wear it on my sleeve. It's literally, look, this is who I am.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think, oh, well, you hate agents. No, I don't. Well, you hate the industry. That's debatable. There's
Yeah.
some parts of the industry I don't like. But at the end of the day, I think what I'm doing is I'm actually living and breathing what they purport to do.
Mm.
Like I am all about the client. I'm all about my client. And I don't think you can say, oh, I'm the number one top fiduciary for my client, as long as we don't talk about what I charge them.
Mm.
You know, like, here's the thing, like, my financial advisor can't be that way.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, my financial advisor is legally obligated to offer me, you know, things that are good for me because they are a better deal.
That's there in their best interest. Yeah. That's in our best interest. Yep.
Exactly. They are legally obligated to that. So I think it's very hard to say, well, we charge this fee. And if you go back and look at inflation, if you look at how much prices have gone up over the years, real estate agents' pay has drastically outpaced where it should have. If you just
Mm.
go back to the 70s and look at what we were charging 3% then, and look at the price of homes and all this other stuff, and everybody's still charging that same fee,
Yeah.
we have drastically outpaced what we should be making. Now, I have
Mhm.
no problem with agents making phenomenal money. Great, do it. But you don't have to make a phenomenal amount of money off the back of a small amount of clients. You can actually run a better business model. You can go to a volume approach, you know, like Amazon and all
Mhm.
these other companies that are doing exactly what you demand. I
Yeah.
mean, I would argue that all these new brokerages coming out offering amazing splits and caps, what are they doing? They're pursuing a higher volume of agents.
Yeah.
We're just pursuing a higher volume of listings to accomplish the same goal.
Mhm.
You know, but how they're accomplishing that is a better value proposition to the agent. How we accomplish it is a better value proposition to the public. Just don't be afraid to be different.
Yeah.
That's the point. And I don't hate your guts, but yes, I am trying to win.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And like I guess like my thing would be, it sounds like to me the reason for 1% um, commission model is more for the consumer rather than for the agents, right? It gives sellers the opportunity to leverage more of their equity to make the decisions they want to make, to give the incentives they need to give to sell their home faster, easier, quicker, right? Uh, but one of the problems why we need to do that is because based on this conversation, the barrier to entry is very low, right? So the
Yes.
agents should get paid according to the standard that they operate by, right? So instead of like, don't you think it'll be better to maybe work on hiring the standard so agents can deliver what they're charging instead of lowering what we charge?
So we're talking about two different things here. One is a fee and one is a quality of service.
Hmm.
Okay. So, you know, if we talk about quality of service, I think the only way you can get that, you're not getting that from your broker. You're not getting that in the classroom. You're not getting on YouTube. You're getting it by going out and doing deals.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I take an agent that used to do 4 deals a year and they come to us and they do 25, they're going to be better at doing deals. If your mom was moving and you decided to sell your mom's house and you didn't charge her anything, you're not going to automatically become an awful agent because you charge less. There's a total difference between what you charge and your quality. I use the Forrest Gump analogy. Forrest Gump became rich, if you've ever seen the movie, and he started cutting grass at the high school field. You know, he did it because he liked doing it. Like, just because you charge less doesn't make you a lesser agent.
Hmm.
Like, you can take it. So telling an agent, hey, you charge 8%, they're not good because they charge 8.
Yeah.
Tell an agent, oh, well, you hit the lottery, but you love doing real estate deals and you're going to do them for free. Well, you're not awful because you do them for free. We have to decouple that reasoning.
Yeah.
And I would argue the inverse is true. The better value proposition you have, the more deals you're likely to do, and the more deals you do, the more likely you are to be good at doing deals. Okay, that's what I would say. As far as, you know, As far as getting the average agent better, it's difficult because we keep churning them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are churning out agents at an alarming pace. Even with the awful year that everybody had last year, nobody's getting out. You sell one house at 3% every 4 years, and it covers your cost of being an agent for the next 10.
Mm.
So there's no incentive to get out.
Yeah.
But meantime, you're becoming more and more bad at doing your job because you're just not doing it every day. And who does that fall on? The
Mhm.
consumer.
Yeah.
Falls
Yeah.
on the consumer who's going to have that horrible experience with an agent who they don't know.
Yeah.
We interact with agents every day that are like, what do you mean? What lawsuits? They don't know. They don't know what's going on. Their brokers a lot of them aren't paying
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem. Like whenever we have mistakes and agents that make mistakes, it's not our agents that do 70 deals a year. It's our agents that are like part-timers that are doing
Mm.
like,
Yeah, for sure. And what would you say with the NAR situation? How would it all work out? So basically, listing agents don't worry about your relationship with the seller. Let the buyer agent worry about what they're doing, or how does that work out in this model?
I believe that listings were more important and more valuable than buyers during the old system. In the new system, I think that's even more the case. Not to name drop, but I was talking to Ricky Carruth the other day, and he told me that we might not have buyer's agents in a few years.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
Believe that.
and I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I wrote an article about this. So I was in this kind of small group of real estate professionals here locally, and everybody was talking about how to get the new buyer rep agreement signed and strategies to get it signed. And so I asked the question. I said, before we talk about how to get it signed, these people are our fiduciaries, right? It's like, let's talk about what it means to get it signed. And there was two lenders there. And I said, hey, lenders, I said, push comes to shove, how many of your average home buyers can afford to write a check for 2.5% of their home at closing? And they said 1 out of 5.
Wow.
And I said, of the 1 out of 5, how many do you think are actually cool with it? And they said, maybe 1 out of 5. So here's the thing. We're talking about 20% of all buyers can afford to pay for the agreement that they have to sign before we can show them a home. And so you tell me, I mean, I think the talking heads, like you can get opinionated folks like myself and many others that we all have our opinions. But the day the Halloween verdict came down, Zillow stock was down 17%. And so, I mean, I'll put it this way. I really didn't want buyer leads before this happened. Now, I say I don't want buyer leads. I don't want to exist on buyers. I don't want
Yeah.
to rely on buyers. That can't be the meat and potatoes of our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
I really, really, really don't want them now. You know, um, I've asked other agents, like, hey, agent, you're getting out of the business. You're moving to Denver. Are you going to sign a 6-month buyer representation agreement at 3% with a new agent there that you've never met for? They all say no. Every single one has told me, hell no, I ain't doing that. Maybe a week, but I'm not signing up for 6 months. I'm not signing up for a month. And so at the end of the day, I think the buyer rep changes is overall, is it a good thing? Yeah, probably, but there's a lot of problems with it.
Mm.
And I think agents are going to struggle to get them signed unless they are very misleading. But ironically, what I've seen is commissions are going up. Agents are asking me for 3%, 4%, but we're also seeing a lot of steering. Agents will reach out to us and say, I've got a buyer rep at 3% or 4%. Are you going to pay that before I go show the house? And I'm like, well, I'm glad you sent me this text message. I'm glad you sent this in written format.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't like steering. I don't like any of this stuff. I think it's the very simple thing is when all you care about is what's best for my client, you tend to be more successful and make more money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think if the process, the system, the objective of the business is to make impact and actually provide value to the marketplace, and not just how much money do I make, what's my profit margin, right? And what's in it for me, and where does it take my business in the future? I think when the focus is on that rather than the client itself, you will have companies that go out of business because they're too focused on their own profit margin, and you would have companies like Apple that change businesses from computer company to a phone company because they're so obsessed with the end client, right?
I can
Uh,
tell you a funny story about that, and then I would
yeah.
love to ask you a question. I got recruited. I kind of fly under the radar as much as possible,
Mm.
believe it or not. I was at a Christmas party for a local title company, and I had on my 1% list shirt, and a buyer's agent from a local team tried to recruit me. And he's like, 1%, huh? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, how would you like to make more money next year? I was like, bro, tell me more. And he's like, well, how many deals did you do? And I told him, and he's like, well, that's a lot of deals. He's like, wouldn't you be more happy if you were making 3% on all those deals? I was like, well, I'm not just making one. You know, the buyers pay us more money. But I was like, do you think I would do as many deals at the higher fee? And he's like, well, absolutely. And I asked him, I said, do you have an iPhone? And he said, yeah. Like, dude, imagine how rich Apple would be if they charged $5,000 for those phones. And he's like, I wouldn't buy one. I was like, really? Why not? And I asked him, I said, you know, when Apple really took off, I said, it was the App Store. And he said, what do you mean? I said, Apple makes 30% commission on everything that goes to the App Store. You didn't know that? And he's like, no. I said, did you notice that was right around the time of Verizon and AT&T and everybody else would give you a free iPhone if you signed up? And I was like, be careful, bro. You're going to be an entrepreneur instead of a realtor one day. You're going to start thinking. And he just sat there and he just didn't know what to do because he never backed up. He's too busy staring at
Yeah.
the tree that's right in front of his face. He never looked around at the forest.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I mean, you guys train agents, right? When you
Yeah.
train agents, do you often tell those agents, hey, go talk to people that have recently sold homes and ask them what they want?
Mm.
Because whenever I see these Facebook groups, I see a lot of realtors asking other realtors what they think, and then you get in that echo chamber,
Yeah.
you know. And I think, you know, I'm
I
not going
create
to
a lot
politics.
of them, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not going into politics, but you look at the most recent election, and there's a lot of echo chambering going on. We're just,
Mm.
hey, we're going to talk to people that agree with us, and then everybody thinks we're going to win, and everybody thinks we're going to lose. And the reason is because we only talk to people who think and act just like us. How about talk to your potential
Talk to
clients
your
and see
client
what they
avatar.
think?
Yeah.
What would a good value proposition look like to them?
Hmm.
That'd make a lot of sense.
No, that would be amazing. So what's your, well, I guess we're running out of time here. What's your advice to agents that are considering maybe model, and what type of mindset and work ethic is required to be able to thrive in that business model?
You need to have really thick skin,
Hmm.
and you need to be willing to be different. You need to understand who your fiduciary is and who your fiduciary is not.
Hmm.
And I was told numerous times, you're bad for the industry. And I was like, how is this good for me and good for my clients, but bad for the industry? But somehow it was. Somehow it was great for me as an agent and great for my client, but bad for the industry. So, what I would say to agents that are thinking about doing this model, or brokers or anybody else, if you like being busy or doing deals, then do this.
Hmm.
If you don't mind being different, if you don't mind the hate, if you're okay with getting more hate from the agents but more love from your clients, this is going to be great for you.
Yeah.
But if not, then don't. I can tell you, for most of our agents, this turns real estate into a 9 to 5. You're
Hmm.
listing houses during the daytime, you're meeting folks, but you're not running around like
Hmm.
you,
You can have a balance.
when you. So we make about 30% less per deal.
Hmm.
But my average agent last year did like 6 or 7 times what
Production.
the typical agent did.
Yeah.
So if you just do that math, like, you'll
Yeah.
see we're making more money, but we are charging less. And so there is a higher volume involved, but that's the point of it.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to be different.
Yeah.
And the number one thing is, it's not about you anymore.
Hmm.
I tell everybody, like, I have a face for radio. I'm not cute. Like, nobody's ever hired me because I'm pretty. Um, when you see 1% lists, you might see my face pop up if you Google it, but it's not about me. It's
Yeah.
about what we are and our mission statement, our value proposition, what we do. I think the tough part for most agents is, the value proposition is them. When you're doing the same thing as your peers for the same fee, at least outwardly, you are the value proposition. And the problem with that is now they demand you
Hmm.
24/7. You're
Yeah.
selling this I am a real estate magician thing.
Mm. Yeah.
You're selling you,
Mm.
and they demand you 24/7. Whereas with
Mm.
us, it's a service.
Yeah.
You know, it's a totally different mindset. The way you market it, the way you do everything is totally different than typical real estate, and you have to change. And there's been a lot of people that attempted to do what we do. We scaled from 30 deals our first year to 1,000 in our fourth before we started franchising. And the entire way along, we were, I don't know if you see the Inc. 5000, we were the third fastest growing real estate brokerage in the country at that point in time.
Wow.
And that's when we started franchising. But the whole time I had people telling me, well, this doesn't work. I'm like, why? Well, because, there's a guy doing it in my market and it don't work. And I'm like, well, I looked up your MySpace and I couldn't find it. And they're like, well, MySpace sucks. And I was like, so you mean to tell me social media works, but MySpace didn't do it correct? Is that what you're telling me? Like, there's something to be said for execution and doing it right, and learning and focus grouping and asking questions, and not asking questions looking for loaded answers, like truly just
Yeah.
blank slate. Where should I go and what should I do?
Mm.
There's a lot of people that just can't figure that out. So,
Well, thank you, Grant, for all of the powerful insights you shared with us about the 1% business model. And those of you who are listening in, interested in the model, maybe you want to learn more how it works. Feel free to reach out to Grant Clayton. You can find him on social media platforms. This is the best way to find you, bro.
I mean, go to franchise.1%lists.com. So that's one, and then the word, like the number one, then the word percent, and then the word lists, lists.com. Or just go to 1%list.com or search my name, realtor.
Mm.
I mean, my stuff's everywhere. I'm not a hard guy to get a hold of. Find me on social media. I'm all over Facebook every day. I guess my parting thing would be this. I don't think everybody should do this.
Yeah.
And I think some people that are charging 6 should probably charge 7 or 8. And I think that, no different than I see Bentleys, I see Aston Martins, I see the Maybachs going down the street. I saw a dude in a Saturn yesterday. That thing was falling apart. Saturn's been out of business for 12 years. I think the consumers need choice.
Mm.
And choice should not scare you. Wake up tomorrow morning, choose what you decide to be, and pursue that with your entire being, and good for you. But we should have variable choice. I shouldn't be hated because I choose to do something different by the industry. But I'm okay with it because it gives me more of a head start.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. You're not doing something right if you don't got haters. If you got haters, maybe there's some truth to everything that you're doing. Thank you again. Those of you who are interested learning more about how you can get more listings with the 1% list model, you can reach out to Grant again for everything you are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. For everyone else listening, if you are struggling with consistency, mindset, or generating a steady flow of seller or buyer opportunities, our team is here to help. You can book a free power session with our team to get a complete business audit, where we will help you, by diving into your current strategies, identify gaps for you, and show you how to create consistent opportunities, even in a challenging market like right now. So don't wait. I'll put the link for the calendar in the comments below. And until next time.
Good for you for raising the bar.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Look, I know the most of this podcast has been around this crazy stuff that we do, but good for you and good for people like you that are raising the bar. Like, look, whether you are the cheapest guy in town or the most expensive, we need to get you better at what you do. And I love that. And I'm not against anything about that. And I appreciate your time, and God bless you for doing what you're doing.
No, for sure. For me, it's like, if we're not collaborating, if we're not dodging ideas off of each other, if someone didn't watch this, whether they came and joined the 1% list model or not, and take a few insights that was shared on this call and actually applied in their business without changing brokerage, without coming to you or coming to our program, right? Like, doesn't matter how you do it. If we didn't consistently collaborate with each other to provide value to the industry, it's racing to the bottom, whether it is by reducing commission or reducing value, right?
I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, we are all doing, we're all in this industry together. Let me ask you this. If some of the other top real estate coaches invited you to come hang out and learn what they do, are you going to show up?
All day. I do all the
Okay.
time. Yeah.
So whenever I talk to an agent and they're like, well, I know my worth. I'd never do what you do, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, how about you come learn what we do? And you might
Yeah.
hate it, but then you might beat my ass at the next listing appointment. God bless you.
Yeah.
But don't shut down.
Yes,
Engage with
exactly.
people.
I love
Engage
that.
with ideas.
Yeah. And
So
that's
good for
what
you,
would
man.
keep us, Darwin's theory, right, only works to people that adapt.
Bingo.
It's like,
Bingo.
oh, I'm not going to change. There's rain this year.
100%. 100%. Thank you
No,
so much for your time. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you guys do.
for sure, brother. All right. Thank you.